Sir Christopher Frayling was the rector of the Royal College of Art from 1996 to 2009. He was chairman of the Arts Council England from 2005 to 2010. He is the chairman of the Royal Mint Advisory Committee, a trustee of the Victoria and Albert Museum, and a former governor of the British Film Institute. As a classic underachiever, Chris has also made many important television documentaries and written a great number of books. The man is an expert on vampires, mummies, and both American and Italian Westerns. Chris is the biographer of Sergio Leone, and this is the guy who coined the term spaghetti Western. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Christopher Frayling.
Thank you very much, John. It is written, you have to begin with that, with the Ray film. It is written in a legend that goes back 10 centuries that the beautiful Princess Scheherazade kept the Sultan awake and excited for 1,001 nights, not in the usual way, but by telling him tales of heroes, of Sinbad the Sailor and his 7 voyages, of creatures of the deep and of the skies, of wizards and genies and prophecies. And the resulting tales have been called the supreme case of the art of storytelling because Scheherazade wins her life through her art. Now, the man whose life and work we're celebrating tonight didn't, of course, tell his tales to prevent his head being chopped off. It was much more likely to be his budgets than his head, but to entertain and enthrall and excite, and above all, to feed the imaginations of the rest of us like no one else. Ray Harryhausen has been around for nearly one of those centuries, for 90 years, and his work for a fair number of those years, as we've seen from the clips, is indeed the supreme case of the art of storytelling in film. Not with roomfuls of computers and armies of technicians to back him up, but with his own skills as a craftsman, working with materials with his own hands, and his vision as an artist. And whoever the director happened to be, there may be some in the room, I hope I'm not offending them, they were his films. Ray's visualizings have been influenced from a tender age by the work of 3 artists in particular. As he said, many artists have directly and indirectly affected my work, but none more so than John Martin, Charles Knight, and Gustave Doré. John Martin, the Victorian painter from Northumberland who imagined, sometimes in letterbox format, vast cities and cataclysmic disasters, and he's going to be the subject of a major exhibition at Tate Britain later this year. Charles R. Knight, the Brooklyn-born painter and sculptor of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. Romantic and accurate, both at the same time. Reanimating fossils was his speciality in the early 20th century, and his large mural of birds and mammals from the nearby tar pit at the Natural History Museum of LA County made an indelible impact on the young Ray. And above all, Gustave Doré from Strasbourg, whose engraved illustrations to many fantasies in prose and especially verse were first shown to Ray by Willis O'Brien. Much of King Kong was inspired by them, and who's been called the first real art director of the movies, even though he died before they were invented. Ray's black and white drawings are in direct line of descent from Doré of 100 years before. Now, my fondest memory of Ray is of when he came to the Royal College of Art a few years ago to give a talk about his work to students from many, many departments of art and design. And just after the talk, the students queued up to glimpse and touch the contents of Ray's magic suitcase that he'd brought along with him. Out of the suitcase popped the Gorgon Medusa with the Joan Crawford eyes, one of the skeletons from Jason, Trog, and the saber-toothed tiger from Sinbad. And the students, hip, sophisticated, very arty, saw the suitcase as a gateway to a world of wonder, a magic box, and they were completely bowled over by these little handmade creatures of the imagination, poised for stop-motion animation. They were in awe, and one of the design students said to me afterwards, "Forget about the Bauhaus, from now on it's Harry House." What was dawning on them, and some of us knew this already, was that Ray, and he's much too modest to admit it himself, that Ray is one of the great popular artists of the 20th century, and so he is. Ray, I salute you.